Moved by Councillor Hudson, seconded by Councillor Arola. Resolved that the regular meeting commence at the hour of 7:02. And be it further resolved that Council acknowledges that we are meeting in the Robinson Superior Treaty area on lands that have been traditionally used by several Indigenous nations. But we would like to pay special recognition to our closest Indigenous neighbors, the communities of Bitigon, Nishinabeg, and Pic-Mobert First Nations. We wish to recognize the long history of the First Nations and Métis people in our region specifically and show respect to them today. All in favor? Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order. There are two items, I think.
There's one addition.
We have an addition?
Yes.
Addition to the agenda. And do you want to read?
The pecuniary.
Okay. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature thereof?
There is one on the agenda, declaration of pecuniary interest by Member of Council Kathy Hudson for Council meeting date December 17th, 2020 in open session. I declare a pecuniary interest on agenda open session item number 1306 of the agenda for the above noted meeting for the following reason. Applicant is my sister.
Thank you. Move to the approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Moffat, seconded by Councillor Hudson. Resolved that the agenda be approved as amended. All in favor? Thank you. The next item is a delegation or presentation. So,
Gail, are you still there?
I am.
Okay, so we're ready. You can start your delegation now.
Okay, so like who's all there, Owen? Like who am I talking to?
All the members of council.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just Shelley Ferguson, the rec director's in the room.
Okay.
And all the members of council.
Okay, sounds good. Well, my deputation is pretty straightforward. It's based on, of course, all the COVID that's been going around, and we've been in a situation where we've been closed since March and haven't been able to we have maybe had a chance to reopen earlier with very restricted, limited hours. Our membership, we collect annually starting in November, so our members were paid up November 2019 for the calendar year for $140. And we're in a situation where, we weren't sure what was going to happen through the summer, if we were going to be reopening. So now we're in a situation where, yes, we have money in our bank account, but we've accumulated that over the last 30 years. To give you an example, anytime we buy equipment, a treadmill or elliptical is going to cost us anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000, so our money can disappear very quickly. But we've always had stored money. So our situation is now we've been closed for such a long period of time, and we're continuing to have to pay our rent. And that's certainly our situation that we're in now. So I'm just asking for the township for a break somewhere along the line that we can maybe meet halfway with our rent. And moving forward, we were to reopen, like 2 weeks ago we were ready to open, and then all of a sudden we were back to a different code where we couldn't reopen, and now apparently that's changed again. So we're back and forth, and we've been working with Shelley, and the hours were going to be restricted to an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, 3 days a week, 6 hours a week. And I'm sure the majority of our members are going to say, well, we're not going to bother to continue to pay, and we're not going to have a new membership. So this is the pickle that we're in. So we're just asking the township for a break in some of our expenses that we have as far as rental expenses go.
okay. Any questions from council?
Through the chair. How much of a break are you looking for, like percentage-wise? It's Councillor Hudson here.
I mean, we've been closed since March. I mean, I certainly would be looking at certainly half of what we're paying for rent. And the township knows that we're a very successful operation, and this is a nonprofit it's a very odd situation the way we have it situated, where that when you do join to be a member, any member becomes a part owner in the facility. And, we've had up to 250 members. We're one of the most successful groups in the township, and we are offering, it's a health participation organization. So the township has to know that we're providing this service. And, for years we had free rent, and of course as we expanded our facility, it's only fair that we were in a good financial situation that we, share some of our revenues with the township, because they have to pay for heat and other words. But because we're in a situation now where we haven't had any type of revenue stream whatsoever, we continue to pay insurance, and, I'm a little doubtful that anyone is going to join to become new members for the year, because for 3 hours, 6 hours a week, no one's going to rejoin. There's going to be the odd person that's going to pay. We're in really an unusual situation where we're going to have a definite decline in our membership coming forward. And, who knows how long this pandemic's going to go on. I'm sure we're going to be into it for another 6 to 8 months. I'm optimistic about the vaccine, but that's going to be quite a while before we see the benefits of that.
Through the
Yes.
chair. Oh, go ahead.
Through the chair, Al, you mentioned something about all members become part owners. What do you?
Well,
what do you mean by that?
it's an odd, because we have probably $250,000 worth of equipment there, and who owns it? Well, any active member that is involved with the gym when they buy their membership, they become we're an executive that we try to administer things. However, the question is, who actually owns all this stuff? Nobody does. It's a really odd situation that we have, and it's just the way it started up. I mean, we started up, we didn't have any membership fees whatsoever. Anyway, it was just free because the township, for a period of almost 12 to 15 years, we had free rent. And as we continued to expand, the township said, well, how about you put a little bit of money into the pot here? We thought, yeah, we've got enough money in the bank account. We can share some of our profits. So it's just a very unusual, if the gym collapsed right now, I mean, what happens with who owns the equipment that's there? And it's just one of those unknown. The Manitowoc Fitness Center, and we're incorporated, I guess technically owns it, but there's no shares involved in the company, in the corporation, because it's all volunteers, and so it's a very odd scenario that we have. So I don't even know how to answer some of these questions, because it's just the way it's been. It's been very successful, though, but we're in a bit of a pickle moving forward, because it's a double-edged sword. We don't have any new revenues coming in, but yet our expenses continue.
Okay, just part about the ownership doesn't make any sense to me. I would think that the corporation would then acquire the equipment per se, and then that would be dispersed accordingly, according to whatever the lawyers would say.
Well, the question is, who owns the corporation? There are no shares in the corporation. So that's where it's just an unusual situation, who actually owns all this equipment? Well, the members do. Well, who are the members? Well, the members are anyone that's paid for their membership for the year. So, I mean, it'd be quite easy for us to pass it all over to the township if we got into a default situation. And I'm sure the town would be happy to take it on. But we don't need to go that route yet. We're just looking for some financial break in our operation, that's all.
Okay.
We're not closing the gym down by any means, because we know that things are going to get back to some normalcy, hopefully within 8 months to a year. But in the meantime, we've gone 9 months without anything being open, and of course there aren't going to be no new members coming forward in November. We usually have our membership drive, and we're not going to get new members. There's going to be very few people joining with the facility opened, if it opens, 6 hours a week.
Okay, so talking about that part, how many actual days, do you have an actual count of how many days
Well-
in 365 you've been able to open or had to close?
You mean since March?
Well, since your fiscal year, basically since
Since November?
November to November, because that would be a full year anyway. That's where we're at.
Yeah, so we were full membership, or full bore from November 2019 to the beginning of March.
March 13th, yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, everything was closed down, and we've been closed down ever since.
Okay.
Now, there's other facilities that have opened up, but I understand that the township is running things differently, and, trying to understand how this COVID thing works. Everyone's got different rules, regulations, and it's all over the board. And I don't want to voice my opinion on how I think it should be run, but there's so many variables, and I think half the time the government, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. They've got rules for this, rules for that, different rules for this, rules over here, rules over there, and a lot of them don't make any sense to me at all. So, but that's a different scenario. I mean, we're looking at a gold mine down the road that has up to 500 employees. They've been going strong, and there was a little problem a couple of weeks ago. They've stumbled over that, but they didn't close their operations down.
Any further questions from the council?
Yes, through the chair. Are you looking for this break on a month-to-month basis until you can open again? Like, I'm not sure how you pay your rent, if you pay it annually, month-to-month?
But we're not, no, if I remember correctly, I think we pay annually.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe I'll just summarize through the chair, if I may.
Sure.
Al, so we have a question, so council consider, they take the information from your deputation. We have some other stuff on the agenda tonight that involves your operation as well.
Sure.
So they can look at that, and then they can consider your proposal. We don't have another council meeting now until January 13th.
Okay.
So they could either make a decision tonight or finalize something at that meeting for you and get back to you at that time.
Okay.
Okay then?
Now, what we've been looking at, and Shelley's been working with us, and that was for us to hire somebody to come in and supervise, because the facility is unsupervised. That's certainly what causes the problem. But even if our operation was to open 8 hours a day and we had to pay for supervision, we'll be certainly out of money before 2.
Yes. Yeah, understood.
Yeah, so that's certainly our issue. So, we would love to reopen if somehow the township could say, look, we'll provide the worker to manage this, or when the person's in the building, I don't know, like in Marathon, it's privately owned, but they're 24/7. They're open 24/7. So, but he owns it personally.
Yeah, it's a private business. It's a whole other.
Yeah, I understand that. So that's what I don't understand. It's a private business, but yet he can do that, but yet we can't do that. So there's so many variables with this pandemic. That's what bothers me.
Yeah, it comes from the Reopening Ontario Act legislation, and those are the conditions that have to be satisfied.
Yeah, and I understand that.
Yeah. So
I don't understand it.
yeah, we're aware of it.
Yeah, and I know you're following the guidelines. There's no one in the township that's making these decisions. I understand that.
Yeah. So we have all your information. I'll summarize this, and whether we get to that tonight or bring it back to the table for January 13th, for council's consideration.
Okay, much appreciated. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thanks for your time now. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Moved by Councilor Moffat, seconded by Councilor Hudson. Resolved that council is in receipt of the presentation provided by Alan Zawoski, Vice President of the Manitowoc Fitness Center, regarding discussions to decrease the rent for the Manitowoc Fitness Center. And further be it resolved that council thanks the above noted representative for attending and providing the presentation to council. All in favor? And we will be receiving some kind of
we'll put a report back to you or
yes,
something,
okay,
Shelley.
so that we can discuss
And
it.
I can get something together for if it's for the January 13th meeting.
Moved by Councillor Hudson, second by Councillor Rolla. Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting held on November 25th, 2020 be adopted as circulated. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Moffat, seconded by Councillor Hudson. Resolved that the minutes of the special meeting held on November 30th, 2020 are adopted as circulated. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Hudson, seconded by Councillor Rolla. Resolved that the minutes of the meeting of the Manitowoc Public Library Board held on October 26, 2020 be accepted as received. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Rolla, seconded by Councillor Hudson. Resolved that the minutes of the meeting of the Thunder Bay District Social Service Administration Board held October 15, 2020 regular and October 15, 2020 closed be accepted as received. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Hudson, seconded by Councillor Moffat. Resolved that the minutes of the meeting of the Thunder Bay District Board of Health held October 21st, 2020 be accepted as received. All in favor? Thank you. There are no petitions. I don't see any correspondence, so we'll go to reports from committees. So, first item is a bylaw moved by Councillor Arola, seconded by Councillor Moffat, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of agreement with Her Majesty the Queen in the Right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Health and Long-Term Care for taking care and alerting service for the Township's Fire Department by the Thunder Bay Central Ambulance Communications Centre. Be read a first and second time.
Thank you. Through the chair. This is part of the paging operation for the fire service. So as council knows, we have 911. The call gets received there, sent to ambulance dispatch in Thunder Bay. They activate our pagers and alert us to a call. We've had this operation agreement since 2003. It's a renewal term again, so we're back and recommending that we renew the contract. And there is no rate increase either. They're staying at the same price we're already paying. So. And we've gone out for quotes on other agreements, and we can't get a better deal anywhere.
And be it further resolved, be read a third time passed and numbered as bylaw number 2020-23. All in favor? Thank you. And now we'll move to the update for the CAO. Next page again.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair, council update for December 17, 2020. The Extreme Dollar program is going very well. We still have $20,000 out in circulation. So we've taken back out of the $171,000, approximately $151,000 back in already invested in the community through the local businesses. And we encourage the public to get out with the remainder of the $20,000 invested in the community with Christmas shopping, and hopefully we can report a finalized to the program for you soon. But it certainly is ran well. The Santa drive-by visit last Saturday night was well received by the community with great feedback, and I'd like to say thank you to all the people that were involved and made that happen. It was a lot of good feedback to the municipality about the event, and people were certainly happy. We received notice today from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing that Manitowoc will be receiving $37,000 for 2021 COVID relief. So as council recalls, we received $145,000 at the beginning of COVID once we started to incur costs. Treasury has been tracking that, and we'll have an accounting, year-end accounting for that. The intent from the province, if there was a carryover, that we would apply that to the 2021 year. We have to submit a report by March to the province on the program. So we'll have that ready and we'll put it in front of council for your viewing. It was a busy day for COVID in Ontario. There was 2,430 new cases today in the province, which is a high number. We've been into over 2,000s for the last 7 days. We've been breaking that as a number in the province. It is a concern. The areas that are under lockdown are continuing to see growing numbers. For today, in the Thunder Bay District Health Unit area, catchment area, there was 10 new cases. I am happy to report I had a discussion with Debbie Hardy, our hospital CAO, on Friday afternoon late. And all the cases and concern that came out of the outbreak at the mine have been cleared, and all the cases in Manitouwadge tests came back negative. So that was great news, and that was part of our decision. As council knows, we did close the rec center for a week when the outbreak was announced, just as a precautionary measure, and we were able to reopen that again on Monday and move forward with operations as they have been planned. So that was good. As 2020 comes to a close, I'd like to say thank you to all the local businesses for their perseverance to provide service to the community amid the COVID challenges. They never wavered, and we had service in grocery stores and gas stations and banks and pharmacies through this whole event, where we've heard other municipalities where businesses had to shut down for cleaning and different things. So we're quite happy with the effort of our local businesses. As well, I'd like to say thank you to all the municipal employees and volunteer firefighters for their hard work and effort this year. They continue to provide municipal service to the community in a very challenging year. Everybody has been affected by COVID somehow, and we all need to remember to be kind and stay safe. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas within the safe guidelines for COVID. So just wish everybody a good Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is moved by Councillor Moffat, seconded by Councillor Arola, being a bylaw to establish 2021 services and charges be read a first and second time. So who's going to make this? Shelley?
No, this is the user fee bylaw. So Shelley is here as well, and Chris and I. So if you have questions, we'll handle the public works questions between Chris and I, water questions, and then Shelley could certainly handle rec department, and I would look after any building and fire stuff as well. So I don't know if you have any particular questions.
Through the chair, yes, I do have a couple here. Just give me a second.
Certainly.
One of the first ones that seemed to be quite a large increase is the large water account reconnect. Up 33.33%, and I'm just wondering what the rationale for that would be.
Just let me catch up on the same page with you, Councillor.
I don't have not sure what page that's on. I could try to find it. I've got a number of...
Is it in the water section, Councillor?
I believe so. So the reconnects are really going through the roof for prices and I don't understand that.
This is the people that for the doubtful account and collection process. What we found is it's not being returned to people. Quite frankly, we have people 3 and 4 times in a row going through this process, and they wait till the last minute and then walk in and square up. So it is to be a deterrent, Councillor. And that's the intent. We have the same house where we're going back 3 and 4 water cycles in a row and doing this. Lots of services would quite simply just not provide the service anymore.
Okay, I was just wondering what that is. So that's a deterrent.
Yes.
Hopefully that works. I wish you luck. The other thing, it seems to be recreation has been taking a hit. In a time of COVID, and the facilities haven't been used as much, we're asking increases for kids, hockey, skating, skiing, golfing, everything, when we're in a tough year, and use of our facilities is down because of that, and yet we're asking increases. One of the ones that kind of shocked me was swimming, 30 to 40%. And I can look it up, but I think it was a family rate for swimming. When we've gone through a tough year, facilities aren't as open as often, and I could see parents looking at this kind of increase for their kids to use our pool as an example and say, enough of this. We didn't get to use it enough, and now we're going to a 30-40% increase. We all know recreation is not a money-making business, but I would propose that during COVID, until this is over, that we leave the fees to what they were last year, rather than increasing them. The water, sorry, I got another one here. Water and sewer meter rates have gone up 22%.
No, it's
Well, that's what I've got here.
2.2%.
What?
2.2%.
Oh, that must have been when I didn't have my glasses on, you're saying?
Yeah,
So what we did for water, Chris and I looked at the water program, and as council's aware, over a number of years, there was bylaws that called for a 10% a year increase, trying to get us up to full cost recovery. We're very close to that now. We believe our rates are getting where they need to be.
Okay.
So the 2.2 is we know things like wages and stuff are still going to go up. So what we did is we took the consumer price index number, which is 2.1%, and applied that to the water.
Oh, I apologize to
Yeah, no,
everyone in
that's fine. I just want
council.
to explain the rationale.
I
of the
absolutely
percentage.
apologize, because if I had seen 2.2, you never would have heard anything.
We like the opportunity to explain it anyway.
So am I wrong? 30 to 40% for swimming is 3 or 4%?
No, it could be 30%.
Okay, so these are the kinds of things that I think we should be going over. We've got reserve and surplus funds to look at. Who knows where council is going to put these monies? But at a time when our facilities aren't being used as much, or there are issues with potential closures, I don't believe we should be increasing recreation fees for our kids at all.
If I may, through the
yes,
chair.
Kelly.
Shelley, would you like to address the question?
I don't have a problem addressing the
Sure.
question. So when the user fees were created for recreation, COVID hadn't actually reared its ugly head as bad as it is now.
Okay.
So we've been trying to parallel to all the communities in the surrounding areas, and 33% looking at the family swim pass you had suggested. So it's gone from $10 to $14. The family daily swim pass, is that the one you were looking at?
Well, I understand 10 to 14 doesn't sound like much.
Yeah, that's what gets
However,
confusing.
it's the general increase during COVID that I have a problem with.
I appreciate
regardless whether it's $4 or $6.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Golfing fees as well. Everything
Yeah.
seems to have gone up for the users when use seems to be at risk.
Use has been limited due to reopening Ontario.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. I
Yeah.
agree.
We don't recuperate any money like a business would recuperate under COVID. We're a municipality, so we have asked for money. We've gotten a little bit of money. We still have operations going on, right? It still costs money to run the place.
I understand. I don't agree with the increases. I understand what you're saying. And if council wants to comment, by all means, I've said what I'm going to say for now.
Are there any other comments?
Not on that subject.
I didn't have. any problem with what I saw, so.
Okay, but through the chair, I do have another one. That's under the municipal law enforcement about the dogs. I don't know if it applies to the cats or not, but was there not something that we were going to put in there if your dog was chipped?
Yes,
because apparently
it's in there.
Is it?
Councillor,
I don't see it.
I'll be a second, I'll find the line. We did do that. We do have the chip reader, and we have had people coming in, and they register the dog. We have a forms all provided and all the information, so we scan the dog, we put the information into our system, and as long as that person is the owner, they don't pay.
That's right.
Because the dog is always chipped, he's not going to lose that. And we're about getting the dog back to the owner, not about selling dog tags. So, so unless you change the dog or sell the dog or something to somebody else, and there's a change of information, update the cheap stuff, it would stay the same. But we do have that in place.
Okay, there it is, right there. Okay, I see it there. Yeah.
No, that is.
It's right at the bottom of cats.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where it's listed. I didn't know cats were chipped, but maybe I guess they are too.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, not a problem. No, good question, Councilman.
Overall, Shelley, what is the total increase in our user fees cost? Have you figured that out
For recreation?
for the whole of the recreation area?
Well, no, it's not calculated, it's per.
It's just done per item, okay.
Some vary, you have a 30%, 2%, 0%,
Yeah.
depending on what incurred costs we're expecting in the next year.
If I may, through the chair. If there is something like the pool that you want to reserve passing right now, I would suggest we could go through with the bylaw if you want to identify a couple of sections. And it could be very appropriate with some of the recreation stuff anyways. We do have the master plan study coming back, and I'm sure there's going to be comments on your user fees in there.
Yeah.
And we could be looking at user fees for recreation February, March again, anyway, based on what the recommendation and council is receiving that report. So if you want, in the interest of not changing it again, for those particular ones, say the pool, and I'm not sure else, like some of the summertime user fees, golf and pool, we could defer until February or March and get a look at those ones then if you were inclined to go that way.
I think that would be a good way to do it.
Anybody else have any comment about that? You want to defer?
So the seasonal stuff, I would suggest golf, pool. Is there something else in there, Shelley, I'm missing?
Ski Hill?
Oh,
Well, Ski Hill, we're
We're in
Ski Hill
that
today
season,
now.
right, yeah.
It's kind of hard not to do anything about
Yeah.
Ski Hill today.
Right.
Councilor Rolla, did you have any?
I just through the chair, I agree with deferring the summertime stuff
Yeah.
until we get to see more. But there are ski rates here, up 11, 10%, 14 I see, and that's current right now. I believe that's a little bit too much for the people to take in COVID time.
I suggest, Councillor, that you have a very heavy subsidized operation there.
It is right now. Very
Yes, it is
subsidized.
right now.
Okay, whatever council decides.
Okay, so you recommend we leave out?
The pool at the golf course, and that was the only two, I guess, the pool and the golf course. You make note of that, Jolene, please. We'll take those two sections out, and then council, if you're pleased, you could consider the rest of the bylaw for approval. Then if there's nothing else or other questions.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
No other questions? And be it further read a third time, passed and numbered as bylaw number 2020-24. All in favor? Passed. Thank you. With those two items, it'll be. And the next item is the item for the acting mayor's schedule. Is that what that is?
The next item is the award of the cleaning contract for...
Okay, so you missed the acting mayor's schedule. You have it on here second, but that's okay. Okay, moved by Councillor Moffat, seconded by Councillor Hudson, Resolved that council is in receipt of administration report ADM 2020-04 submitted by Jolene Keogh, acting clerk, regarding awarding of cleaning contract 2021A.
Yeah, thank you to the chair.
Now, do you have to leave the room?
No, not this one.
Oh, this is not the one. Okay, sorry.
We award the cleaning contract on a 2-year basis, and so this came up for renewal. We received one submission when we put out the tender. The tender came in from Clean Sweep, and this would be for our entire municipal facilities, excluding the recreation center. So that covers our admin building, the fire hall, public works, and 40 Manitou. There's only been a very slight increase from the previous term. There's an additional increase that we're looking at with the COVID-19 response. She submitted that as a separate tender just because it's going to be determined by administration how long we will need to have that in place. And then so it won't have any implications on the rest of the contract. So I provided that for you.
Through the chair, that would also be put through the COVID expense, obviously.
The COVID cleaning.
Yeah, the extra cleaning. Yeah.
Through the chair, of all the facilities, the airport is not on there. Is that done by the staff at the airport? Okay. Okay.
Same as the rec center, our staff.
Right. Yes.
No further questions? And be it further resolved that upon conclusion of council's review and consideration, council awards cleaning contract number 2021A to Clean Sweep for all properties in the amount of $23,865.60, including HST per annum, with the addition of COVID-19 response cleaning services in the amount of $339, including HST, per week until a time determined by administration. All in favor? Thank you. You've read the meeting, the mayor's, acting mayor's schedule. Everybody's happy? Okay. Councillor Arola will be December to January, February. Councillor Hudson to be March, April, May. Councillor Moffat is June, July, and August. And Councillor Scapinello is September, October, November.
The same
Through
as
the
same
chair,
as
I think it's missed on the agenda that was provided to
so I thought so. But it's the same as previous year.
It's the same.
Okay.
Well, it just
it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Arola, seconded by Councillor Hudson. Resolved that council accepts the proposed 2021 regular council meeting schedule, and be it further resolved that the acting mayor's schedule includes therein is accepted. All in favor? Thank you. Next item is Mr. Towns and the
Thank you. Through the chair, back when we had our audit done, it was requested that we have a good look at our reserves and our reserve funds, as many of these accounts are old and obsolete. So administration has sat down, mostly myself, Mr. Cranny, Mrs. Ferguson. We have reviewed each of the accounts, their current balances and why they are the way they are, and have come up with a few minor recommendations to do some housekeeping and get ourselves back on track for future uses. I have provided you both with a copy of today's general ledger trial balance and a list of recommendations. I know you got to wait, so I don't know if you had an opportunity to review them. But essentially what we would like to do is, administration would like to propose is that we revise the wording of bylaw 9828. This is our contingencies for assessment appeals, which was done back in 1998, from $300,000 to $500,000. Back in 98, when the LSR was going through and there was a downloading of services and MPAC was coming in, and the growth of assessment values, we feel that at this point in time, when we have been doing a lot better, but we believe that at least in another $200,000 to be maintained in that account would be very beneficial. So the only action on that would be to rescind the bylaw and propose a new one.
And there is a surplus over 500,000.
And we are well over that. So, yeah.
Yeah, we would put that into infrastructure improvement reserve fund. So there's 1.6 million actually over and above the 300 that the bylaw says should be there. So we just found it appropriate to adjust the amount and then put that in a proper reserve where it should be, which is infrastructure improvements for the municipality. Is the recommendation. So we won't do the bylaws tonight. What we plan to do is present this whole presentation to council for your consideration and questioning, and then we can come back in early January with the wording in the bylaws, and at that time, Chris, the treasurer, will provide you an updated GL sheet so you can look at the reserve funds as they are once we make all these changes, compared to the copy of the front sheet that you have tonight.
Okay. The second proposal from administration is, if you notice under the OSIFA repayment, that was for our 2008 water and sewer infiltration problem we had in the Lynx Moose area. That project has been completed, and there was surplus available. And again, the money's been sitting there. The project's been done since 2011. Administration feels that money sitting there should go back into infrastructure as well. And essentially another just house cleaning item. The project is well and complete, and we're well on our way with newer and bigger things.
So just to clarify, that was so much was put aside for that project, which
yes,
was
and
infrastructure?
Absolutely.
So it's just a matter of, it was locked into that one project, so now we're just going to set it free.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can reassign it, council.
Yeah, okay.
And there's $383,000 there that was left over from the project. And in 2020, we made our final payment on the debenture. The project was paid off in 2020. Finished in June of this year. We finished paying off that project. So this is now surplus money for that project.
Another recommendation from administration would be the GECO Private Roads Reserve Fund from 1996. That was funded from GECO when Manitowoc Public Works would maintain the GECO road. Oh. So they funded the municipality for equipment breakdowns, equipment repairs, future equipment, etc. We no longer maintain that road, and there's $236,000 in there that should go to equipment. We would recommend that we go to equipment replacement for Public Works, since that was the original intention of maintaining roads.
This is obsolete. This was a 10-year agreement made in 1996. So it's long overdue, and it's just been sitting there labeled that way and didn't get repurposed.
Okay.
Through the chair, what exactly is the GECO road? Is that from like the GECO bridge onto the gates?
No, in the property. It was
in the property itself?
They didn't have any provisions at the time.
Okay.
So GECO had a grader and a dump truck, which they gifted to the town.
Okay.
And we were responsible for plowing their roads. And then once we got into it, they realized they wanted to do it themselves, and it just all become redundant. We sold that equipment off, and the equipment, the maintenance money just sat there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last year, it's 2018 now, we received $393,400, a one-time unconditional grant from the province of Ontario. That money has never been allocated, so we would like council to consider where that money should it be purposed for, and we would create a reserve bylaw for that. Not much more to say on that one. And
what was the grant for? Sorry?
It was a one-time unconditional grant. The province just handed it out. It was based on it was a population calculation. It was unconditional, no reporting. Use it at your own free will, but at council's direction.
Alrighty then.
So we have the capital projects previous years. This account here is from year to year, any capital project approval that doesn't either get completed or hasn't been utilized whatsoever at the end of the year, it gets put into this account. And sometimes what happens is projects either don't get completed or they come in under budget, and all that money has already been approved and allocated. It's been sitting in this account. And these projects, we went back as far as 2011, and these projects are off the table. They're not happening. So we would recommend that we push that money into the infrastructure fund. And the last one, recreation projects reserve. There is $123,600, and the administration recommends that this gets moved into the reserve fund for the community center. And that's all I have on that. If you have any further questions.
I'll just, are you done, Chris?
Yeah.
Just a comment for council, the time of year. As council is well aware that we have some major studies and projects on right now. So one is the recreation master plan, which is going to come back and provide us guidance and direction on recreation. We have the community revitalization project underway that will be recommendations and things for improvements to the community to council from that study. As well, we have the Trails Master Plan study that's in draft form and will be coming back to council early in the new year. So, in the start of in the start of 2021, you're going to receive 3 major project reports with recommendations of action. As well, you're going to get tabled will be the 2021 operating and capital budget. So, what I suggest, if council sees clear to approve the recommendations that were presented to you tonight, we'll come back at the January 13th council meeting with all the accounts adjusted. You'll get a new sheet like the top one, so you'll see what the reserves are, what those accounts balances are, and then hopefully shortly around that time we'll be able to get the 2021 budget in front of you and have an idea of what the requests are and what those those studies that we're doing, what those report looks like, and any financial commitment that council would want to make to those studies.
And I think the other thing that we have to be very aware of is once we get the asset management program completed, we're going to find all kinds of assets that every community has, not just us, but every community has that has to be replaced within the next 4 or 5 years. There has to be money in the reserves to do some of this. That's where I think that's where we're going to have our eyes opened once we get the asset management plan completed. Because right now we don't know what our assets are.
We have an intern. We must be pretty close on that project, Chris. The intern.
I think we're waiting to post the position.
I thought it was maybe. No. Okay, so we do look at having retaining an intern to update some of our asset management reporting and get it as a thing in front of council, as the mayor talked about, so that you can have a look at your financial commitment there as well.
Okay.
That's through the chair. That sounds like quite a ways off.
Well, we hope not. The asset, the grant we have for the intern is 1 year. So to get that project put together and get it.
And through the chair, having this intern is going to provide us with updated plan, and it's also going to give us condition assessments of 90% of our assets, which is really going to help us moving forward on what needs to be done and when, and what the level of risk is having these assets. Very important.
And that's building study condition, building condition studies and things of those natures will be included in that as well.
And it's also been a requirement of the province that we get the asset management plan completed.
It's a requirement, yes.
We've been lucky that they've postponed it 2 or 3 times. But when I was mayor before, we had been given a deadline at that time, and obviously none of the communities met the deadline. But I'm expecting they're going to come back and say, finish it now.
Any further questions? Perfect. Thank you.
Moved by Councillor Rolla, seconded by Councillor Moffat. Resolved that Council is in receipt of the presentation provided by Chris Towns, Acting Treasurer, regarding Township of Manitowoc reserves and reserve funds for information purposes. All in favor? Thank you.
Did we not ask for approval to make those adjustments? Because there is some bylaw work we're going to have to bring draft.
That wasn't on here now. Do you want?
The direction I was given.
Oh, I'm sorry.
To make this a resolution.
To accept those recommendations, we'd like council to accept them and give us permission to work on those bylaws and those changes and come back to you with the bylaws and a report on what the balance of the new reserve fund list. And
That's
the balances
not on
would
here.
look like.
No, it's not.
Can we adjust that?
Yes,
that we
okay,
can go
make
ahead and
it.
do that work?
Wouldn't that just be a resolution?
We could do a resolution. I'd defer to the
Yes.
clerk. Yeah, okay, yeah, we can
Yeah,
certainly.
for the recommendations.
Yeah, to adopt them and implement them, we'll come
Yeah,
back.
I'll
Yeah, then the
modify it.
bylaws would be to finalize it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and show the new balances of what fund is what, and you'll know, have a better direction as council. Yeah.
Through the chair, Owen, you want this to be brought back for the first meeting in January?
I think we can have
Yeah?
it's
Okay.
more Chris's workload than mine, but if Chris can have it done, we'd like to come back right away at the start of the new year. It'd be nice to have it done and have council have a look at it before we bring budget to you, so you can have a good feel of where we're at.
The next resolution has to do with the fitness club.
Which one is that?
The request from the presentation from...
No, it's a separate, I believe that's Shelley's request, not the fitness
Okay,
club's
all right,
request.
good, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
By all means. I'll read this first.
Item 04, that's what you...
Moved by Councilor Rolla, seconded by Councilor Moffat. Resolved that Council has received the presentation by Chris Towns, Acting Treasurer, regarding Township of Manitowoc's reserves and reserve funds, and further Council approves the recommendation be brought back for the meeting dated January 13, 2021. All in favor? Thank you. Yes, okay.
Thank you. Through the chair. Al touched on this at the beginning of the meeting about how COVID has had an effect on our business over at the rec center. Two of our businesses that lease our property are Northern Trails and the fitness center. So we closed March 13th. We were able to open again on July 17th. Fitness center was not able to open at that point, and Northern Trails had lost all the business because the snow's gone, right? So reflecting on the extreme dollar thought process, I come to you to suggest that perhaps could we look at offering a refund to our two leased agreements, since they are a contract and we were not able to provide the space for them to utilize the contract. Any questions?
I guess the question is more for Owen then. Would that relief qualify under part of the COVID recovery fund?
We're probably going to top out of that. I'm not sure. If it's lost revenue, the municipality could look at lost revenue, potentially. I think we're going to exceed the $140,000 fairly quick that we will be there. So whether we were able to get it all under there, I can't speak to that. But certainly we could try.
Okay.
Yeah, through the chair. Has there been a prorated calculation done?
So what I did was I took the days that we were actually closed due to COVID, and I divided it into the annual fee, and that's how I came up with the number in the report.
So basically, you prorated what you're suggesting as a discount.
Yes. So, I suggest 50%. We pay half, they pay half, kind of thing. So the days that we were closed, I figured out how much money they pay annually, divided it into the months. Then I could get the number of days that were actually closed, And then, once I had that, then I divided it in half, and the half that I present is what we would discount them. I'm not making
Not
any
following you.
sense. So, from July...
Does it work out to exactly half the days? Is that why you're saying 50%, or is it?
It's half of, it's how much money they would have paid over July 13th to, March 13th to July 17th, right? That's how much money they would pay. I'm suggesting we cut that cost in half from July 13th to, March 13th to July 17th.
So what you're saying is you still want to charge them half the rent, even though we could not provide the service?
Something, yeah. We're still, we still have their stuff in our space. I don't know that they don't have an opportunity to apply for CERB or any of the other COVID things. They didn't have an opportunity to utilize even extreme dollar option, right? So I was just looking at how can we help them out.
Anybody else?
Through the chair, is this, my iPad went down. I don't have any information right in front of me. So this is just to prorate back, or is this going forward as well? What you're
This is just the time that we were closed.
So for the gym itself, like the seasonal one, that's a little bit of a different situation, but the gym itself is a year round. So you're only doing from March till July on your calculations for them as well?
Correct. Those are the times that they were closed. They were able to open as of July 13th. I'll get to that piece.
So they were open from July 13th until we closed it again because of Orange, right?
No, fitness was not able to open because they need to get things in place for Ontario, reopening Ontario. That's totally in their control, right? Once we get to the lease, the admin report lease part, it'll all puzzle together. This is just addressing the COVID time that we were literally closed. We could not run anything in rec.
Right.
Okay. Anything further? All right, I'll read the resolution and we'll go from there. Moved by Councillor Moffat, second by Councillor Hudson. Resolved that Council has received of Administration Report CS 202-08, submitted by Shelley Ferguson, Director of Community Services, regarding non-profit leasing agreements. And be it further resolved that upon conclusion of Council's review and consideration, Council approves providing a 50% refund to the 2020 user fee during the period from March 14, 2020 to July 17, 2020 for the following leases. Non-profit users: Northern Trails Ski Club, Inc. and Manitowoc Fitness Club, Inc. All in favor? Thank you. That's one. Now we'll go to the next one.
All right, this is on a different topic. Previously, they have, Community Services has had the opportunity to ask organizations if they would like any in-kind, any relief. We can't actually give without going through the process of presenting a report to council. So out of the 17 mailouts that I had, 4 had applied. One of them actually had applied for something that the municipality services, so we have to get that duck in a row and fix that. So that wasn't in the report today. We also had another applicant who applied that would be involved in a reciprocal agreement, and that is now being developed because of this discovery. As you can imagine, digging through files as a newbie, there's a lot of things to discover. So I might have even missed some people that I tried to reach out and say, this is the opportunity, this is the process. Hopefully I didn't offend anyone. I did have a couple questions about the process, but it was already depicted that it was a $750 maximum that I could authorize. And from the people who applied, I presented, I'm sweating here. I just lost it and I don't have the paper in front of me. Who am I presenting? Presenting. Thanks, Joe. Now I'm all nervous. I can't even work the computer. Yeah, the very bottom. There it is, the Copper Kings, of course. Sorry. The Copper Kings have asked for us to waive the fees for their alumni game in 2021. They haven't, because of COVID, we can't really put a for sure, but they've asked for us to waive the fees for that. And Northern Trails has presented that we waived their 2021 annual user fees. Any questions?
Through the chair, you mean their annual user fees as in their rental agreement?
Correct. Their rental agreement is very low. It's $636.50. And it meets the criteria of the $750 maximum we're allowed.
So they pay $600 per year for rent?
Correct.
Okay, and so you're requesting up to $750.
No, she's able to approve, to be able to waive that up to that fee herself.
Up to that fee for as many people that applies?
Any request that comes in under $750, the rec manager can approve it themselves.
They don't have to come
rebate.
It's a report to council about what.
She's just letting us know
Okay,
she
so
did.
this is what this is all about.
Yeah, the plan, yeah.
So does that include? So under this one, does the fitness center have they applied, or
the fitness center did not apply?
Did not apply. But is that something that they can apply?
Correct.
Okay.
There's criteria required. They need to present a financial statement. They need to have proof of insurance. They need to have a constitution. I'm sorry, I don't have all the documents with me.
But they got to jump through some hoops, obviously.
Yeah, there's a criteria that's
Right.
presented, and if the criteria isn't presented when I go through the applications, I can't award it because there's a criteria.
Now, is there a deadline on that application?
Absolutely.
And has that gone by?
Yes.
Okay, more questions?
So basically, you're just giving this to us for information purposes. You've already done.
I've done my work, yeah.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? Okay, moved by Councillor Moffat, seconded by Councillor Arrola. Resolved that Council is in receipt of Administration Report CS 2020-09, submitted by Shelley Ferguson, Director of Community Services, regarding nonprofit sports process report for information purposes. All in favor? Thank you. The next item again is, Ms. Ferguson, is about hiring a fitness center COVID cleaner.
Hi, Kathy. 806.
And you're on again.
Thank you, sir. Okay, this is where it starts to get a little tricky. Through the chair. The fitness center, through opening Ontario under COVID, we had discovered that we need to disinfect, we need to contact trace, we need to monitor that people are doing the COVID screening. And so because they're a volunteer base and nobody actually does that, nobody's manned in the site, we tried to find a way, how are we going to do this and get you guys open? So through conversation in the municipal office, we had thought maybe if we put them onto our payroll under WSIB, so because Fitness Center doesn't have WSIB because it's all volunteer, this would help the situation. And so we have lobbied for a fitness cleaner. We have made sure that the fitness center is able to pay the cleaner. Hence the reason for the shortened hours. 2 reasons. A, to see if it's actually worthwhile employing. So under COVID, we're hearing that some people don't want to come back to the gym. We're seeing that in hockey, the participation isn't 100%. So it was suggested that they start off slow. 6 hours a week, they can handle that in the bank account, and we can feel out whether or not it's worth hiring somebody and putting them in the community fitness center to do what's required under Reopening Ontario Act. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the next little bit. Through the chair, if it's council's wish, we would suggest that we could put the fitness center COVID screener cleaner under the Township of Manitouwadge on their payroll and look after WSIB, and then we would invoice the fitness center for the payroll.
And there would be a clause in there when you put them on that it would be there as long as we need for this particular program only.
Yes, I've written up a contract with the fitness center and sat down with the fitness center and depicted just exactly that it would be in place during COVID or until we shut down or until we deem, like we had closed the rec center recently, right? It would be in place for that. It's also given a timeline of 3 months, and that way, if it's no longer needed, it's null and void. I'm hoping that we don't have any COVID in 3 months.
Any questions from council?
Okay. Just to clarify.
Yeah.
So this person would be working only 6 hours per week?
Correct.
And those hours, are they the most common hours that the fitness center is open?
Correct.
Approved by the fitness club, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we all sat down and looked at the schedule and tried to find the best times that would meet the most demand.
Okay. And, of course, like you said, the cost of this employee would be billed back to the fitness center so that the taxpayers aren't paying for that particular thing. Okay. Clear.
All but the WSIB.
Right, which is only 47 cents
Correct.
per hour, which is, very little.
Nominal.
$3 a week.
But at least it gives the opportunity
Yes.
for fitness to open.
Any further questions? Seeing none, I'll read the motion. Moved by Councillor Hudson, seconded by Councillor Moffat. Resolved that Council is in receipt of Administration Report CS 2020-10 submitted by Shelley Ferguson, Director of Community Services regarding Fitness Center COVID Cleaner Contract. And be it further resolved that upon conclusion of Council's review and consideration, Council approves the Township's hiring a Manitouwadge Fitness Center COVID Cleaner, and further that Council approves the cost of WSIB for the Manitouwadge Fitness COVID Cleaner Center, and further the Council approves the contract with the Manitouwadge Fitness Center as presented. All in favor? Thank you. And the next item?
Again, along the same lines of the fitness center. So during all this, I had to go back to a lease agreement and see what was actually devised for the lease for the fitness center. And we have revised the lease. Actually, I came up empty-handed. I did come up with square footage and how the pricing was worked out originally. Wrote up a lease agreement to incorporate the COVID thought process, including the 3 months, including the contact tracing, the disinfecting, all that stuff for COVID. And I'd like to move forward with the lease agreement. We are still waiting on the proof of insurance, listing us as the third-party insured and errors and omissions and such. That's one piece of the puzzle that's still kind of in limbo right now. So I would like to propose that we could accept this lease based on if they present a insurance policy that can go along with the lease, and get it signed and bring it back to you.
Any questions? I'll start. We already had a lease with the fitness club, right? Before?
They're under the user agreement.
Yeah. But there wasn't an official
I could not
lease.
find a lease.
This would be the first lease. Okay.
This would be the first lease.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, so now saying that, did they have liability insurance in place in the past?
I'm told there is. However, I'm told that it was just canceled, and I have no proof of any insurance.
Okay, so it's just a matter of providing proof of insurance with additional insured being, the township being listed as additional insured.
Correct.
Okay.
No further questions? This resolution doesn't say anything about a lease, about insurance.
It's a condition in the lease, Your Honor, so we wouldn't execute until all the conditions were met.
Correct.
Is the price listed here? Yeah.
The user fee, it just lists current user fee because each year the user fee changes, right?
Okay.
So I'd like to just continue to use a lease. Ultimately, I'd like to create a 5-year lease, but I needed to start at baby steps.
So the lease for the 1 year is what their user fees have been for the year, right?
Correct.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, moved by Councillor Moffat, seconded by Councillor Roll. Resolved that Council is in receipt of Administration Report CS 202-11 submitted by Shelley Ferguson, Director of Community Services, regarding Fitness Center lease agreement. And be it further resolved that upon conclusion of Council's review and consideration, Council approves the Manitowoc's Fitness Center Inc. lease agreement as presented. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moved by Councillor Moffat, seconded by Councillor Hudson. Whereas Santa Claus, herein referred to as Santa, delivers presents to many good children throughout the Township of Manitowoc on the eve of December 24th into the early mornings of December 25th annually, and whereas Santa's services are deemed essential by the Township of Manitowoc, and whereas COVID-19 is a novel virus which was not presented in the region during any past year, and whereas Santa has spoken with this town council and various healthcare professionals to determine a plan for best practices for his annual deliverance, and whereas Santa has been self-quarantined with Mrs. Claus and all of the elves, and whereas there have been no cases of COVID-19 at Santa's workshop and no travel to or from his workshop for the requisite health time frames, and therefore be it resolved that Santa may enter the home of any child regarding the Township of Manitowoc on his nice list to deliver presents, provided that all children at home are asleep in order to ensure proper social distancing, and all children listen to their parents regarding COVID-19 protocol for the lead up to December 24th in order to ensure the safety of Santa. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Moffat, seconded by Councillor Hudson, whereas Section 239(4) of the Municipal Act 2001 SO 2001 C25 provides that before holding a meeting or part of a meeting that is to be closed to the public, a municipality or local board or committee of either of them shall state by resolution the fact of holding of the closed meeting and the general nature of the matter to be considered at the closed meeting. Now therefore be it resolved that this meeting is hereby closed to the public as the subject matter being discussed falls under the following section. Section 239(2)B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Staffing update. All in favor? Thank you.